For spine-chilling true terrors revealed, haunted encounters that will haunt you forever, Emily had always been a believer in new beginnings. But standing in front of her new house, a creeping sense of dread settled like ice in her veins. The charming old structure had charm, sure, but the vacant trailer park across the street loomed like a dark cloud, its shadows promising whispers of forgotten torment. It felt wrong. The laughter that once filled the area was replaced by an eerie silence, as if the ghosts of the neighborhood were trapped in memories, waiting. Ava, her adventurous 15-year-old, strolled ahead, oblivious to the unsettling atmosphere. "I made a friend," she said, excitement bubbling from her. But the mention of the trailer park sent a quick chill running down Emily's spine. It was a place where shadows could hide, and she'd seen enough shadows to know they were often sinister. As night fell, Emily couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, her heart racing with each flicker of the lights. Their new home creaked and groaned, not unlike the sound of a dying animal. The shadows danced behind the windows, darting just out of sight, and every gust of wind seemed to whisper warnings that made her skin crawl. Was it just her imagination? Or was there really something out there? She had reason to be cautious. Her past played in her mind like a broken record, loud, chaotic, filled with screams. She had promised Ava a safe haven. "Just play, Mom." Ava's voice danced in her ears, but persistence wouldn't let her rest. Each hour that passed amplified Emily's dread. Ava was becoming distant, her laughter was too carefree, too innocent. The darkness held its breath as Emily turned to her daughter and suggested playing in the yard with her new friend. The second night, with the moon high in the sky, Emily peered through the blinds. What she saw made her heart pound: figures moving in the abandoned trailers, shadows too dark to define. She could feel it. Something was brewing. The tale of the dark figure that once haunted this town teased the corners of her mind, and the flickering lights felt like a reminder of the horrors past. Those figures weren't just shadows, they were connections to something dangerous. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Panic surged as the hours dragged on. Ava had disappeared. "Just playing," she explained breezily upon her return, but her demeanor it was wrong. The words felt hollow, almost rehearsed. A scream of alarm echoed in Emily's mind as she glanced outside once again. The looming darkness of the trailer park felt alive, and the hairs on her neck prickled with warning. Determined, Emily stepped outside, heart hammering. The moon bathed the street in an eerie glow, casting jagged shadows. The chill in the air thickened as she approached the park. What was she looking for? Answers? Or was it too late? The deep-seated fears from her past clawed at her as she stepped onto the cracked pavement, the ghosts of old secrets brushing against her thoughts. Just as she pieced together the town's bloody past, everything she feared rushed through like a torrent. With each step, she felt eyes upon her, pulling her closer to the heart of the nightmares lurking in plain sight. As she prepared for what lay ahead, her heart beat a warning. Some monsters wore friendly faces. Just then, a sudden knock erupted through her door, slicing through the silence. Ava's voice floated from the other side, sweet but layered with something unspeakably wrong. "Mom, I'm home." But with her words came a deeper, darker sensation that whispered, "What has she brought back with her?" Emily hesitated, her heart thudding in her chest. The thrill of relief at hearing Ava's voice was quickly swallowed by a knot of anxiety. "Coming," she called out, trying to mask the trembling in her tone. Each step toward the door felt like wading through molasses. Dread clung to her like a shroud. Swinging the door open, she braced for the sight of her daughter, but the moment felt unreal. Ava stood there, a chill wind rustling her hair, totally at ease despite the fact that the shadows seemed thicker around her. "Hi, Mom," she chirped, but her wide smile held an unsettling undertone that sent a ripple of panic through Emily. "Ava," Emily said, her voice low and steady, "where were you?" "It's late." "I told you, just playing," Ava replied, but there was something about the way she casually brushed a lock of hair behind her ear. The stiffness in her posture, the unnatural gleam in her eye. It wasn't her daughter. Not completely. Emily forced a smile, treading carefully. "Your friend? Did you make a new friend?" Ava's grin widened unnaturally. "Yeah. Can I invite them over?" Something twisted inside Emily at that request. "Maybe just for tomorrow, okay? It's late now." A flicker of annoyance crossed Ava's face so quick Emily almost missed it. For an instant, the sweet girl she knew was gone, replaced by a dark semblance of herself. "But they want to meet you." The words hung heavy in the air, laden with an unspoken threat. Whispers snaked through Emily's mind, the stories of those who never returned home, the children who vanished. "I'll think about it," she stammered, trying to wrestle her fear. "Why don't you wash up and get ready for bed?" "Okay," Ava answered, but she lingered in the doorway, gaze piercing with a ferocity that made Emily shiver. "You'll meet them soon, Mom." As the door clicked shut, Emily slammed a hand against the wall, heart racing. Was she losing her already? She moved back into the dimly lit house, her hands clammy on the counter. The silence felt heavy, the air thickening as she tried to breathe normally. Suddenly, a soft thumping echoed from the back of the house. Emily turned sharply, eyes wide. "Ava?" No answer came. The thumping grew louder, more insistent. She took tentative steps towards the source, dread coiling in her gut. Each creak of the floorboards sounded like a warning, the shadows deepening, stretching into unnatural forms. As she reached the hallway, the air shifted. It felt colder, almost electric. She pushed open the door to Ava's bedroom, heart pounding, breath caught in her throat. The space was empty, but something flitted at the corner of her vision, a fleeting shadow. "Ava." The name slipped from her lips, desperate and shaky. The thump fell silent, and an eerie calm enveloped the room. That was when she caught it, a dark figure, unseen but suffocatingly real, rising from the bed like a malevolent spirit. "Mom." The voice was sweet, but layered in a sinister edge that chilled her to the bone. Emily spun around. Ava stood in the doorway. "I told you I'd bring them," she said, but the words were echoed by something from the shadows behind her. The figure loomed, extending dark arms toward her, and Emily felt her heart stutter, ice gripping her. "What have you brought home, Ava?" The question slipped from her lips, tremors running through her. As the darkness pressed in closer, she realized what she truly faced wasn't just her own fear, it was a connection to the unspeakable, a harrowing truth lurking beneath the surface of their fresh start. Ava's eyes glinted with an unknowable darkness. "You'll see soon, Mom." "You'll see." The walls seemed to close in as Emily backed away, feeling the heat of terror rise within her. She stepped into the abyss, and now it was hungry. What would it take to sever this eerie bond? As a shadow reached for her, she knew one thing was certain: they were no longer alone. And the night was just beginning. Emily's breath quickened as she found herself trapped between reality and nightmare. The shadow loomed larger, swallowing the dim light of the room as it twisted and writhed like a living entity. Darkness closed in around her, and she couldn't tell if she was more terrified of the figure or her daughter's transforming gaze. "Ava, get away from it." She managed to shout despite the quivering in her voice, and yet Ava stood rooted, a beacon of unsettling calm amidst the chaos. The sinister figure loomed closer, its outline sharpening into a grotesque face filled with malice. Emily felt the urge to scream, to flee, but every instinct screamed that moving might only provoke it. "Mom, don't be afraid," Ava said in a sing-song tone that now felt more mocking than comforting. "They just want to be friends." "Friends?" The word tasted bitter in Emily's mouth. What kind of friend is this? You have to come away from it. Ava's laughter echoed, rich and deep, a sound that no longer belonged to a child. But I've already invited them to play. As the malevolent figure reached out, fingers elongating toward her with a slithering motion, Emily staggered back instinctively, her back hitting the wall behind her. Panic surged through her veins, and she fought against the wave of dread threatening to pull her under. In the next moment, a loud bang echoed from downstairs, breaking the suffocating tension. The sound splintered the mystique of Ava's room, drawing both Emily and the shadow's attention. Relief flickered within her as she realized she might have a chance to escape. Ava, stay here. She shouted as she sprinted toward the door. But as she turned, she felt a sharp tug on her wrist, a solid grasp that halted her movement. The tingling sensation crept up her arm as the figure's presence moved closer, enveloping her in an icy fog. She spun around, eyes wide, but the shadow was no longer just a shape. It had details, now sharply defined features that cruelly mocked her. Where do you think you're going? It hissed, a voice like rusted metal clashing. Ava. Emily's eyes frantically searched for her daughter, but she stood giggling softly in the corner, her small hands toying with an unseen object. No, Ava. Come back. Emily's voice cracked, filled with desperation. If Ava was engaged, she didn't want her to be part of whatever this was becoming. But Ava's attention was fixated on the shadow, her eyes gleaming with a frightening intensity. You don't understand, Mom. They're here to help us. We don't have to go back to how it was before. Emily's head spun as chills raced down her spine. The implication sent more ice into her heart. Help? Is that what you think this is? The shadow drew closer, its breath like the coldest winter cutting through her. She's not the same, but you can be. Join us, and we can all play. And with that, the figure lunged toward her, shadowy tendrils reaching out as they entwined around Emily's legs, pulling her down. She gasped, panic surging. Suddenly, a flash lit the dark, and Emily could see shadowy figures swirling around Ava, merging with her laughter. A scream erupted from her throat as she fought against the freezing grasp, terror fueling her strength. Get away from her. But the darkness was hungry, and it moved swiftly, encircling her tightly. Before everything went black, she caught Ava's eyes, once again reflecting the sweet girl she knew, yet now glazed with layers of something unearthly. Help me, came the muffled sound, now longer from Ava, but from the shadow around her. The pull towards the void started to swallow her whole. What had she truly brought into her life with her daughter? When the darkness swallowed them both, the house trembled. And somewhere, a voice echoed in the gloom, you haven't seen the end of this yet. Emily's heart raced. What would come next? Despair or a glimmer of hope? And could she wake from this nightmare before it was too late? The darkness enveloped her completely, dragging Emily deeper into a chilling void. The familiar sounds of her home faded, replaced by an echoing silence that felt alive, pulsating with an unseen presence. Her heart thudded violently against her ribcage as she clawed at the air, desperately seeking escape. Suddenly, her body hit a cold, hard surface, the impact winded her. She gasped, drawing in a breath filled with the damp and musty scent of decay. A voice, murky and distorted, seeped into her mind. Emily, welcome. Struggling to comprehend, she sat up, blinking against the encroaching shadows that formed grotesque shapes on the walls. The room was unfamiliar, a stark contrast to her daughter's once cozy space. This was a place of anguish, a prison woven from fear and despair. Ava. She called, her voice trembling. Silence answered. Then, an image flickered in the haze, Ava standing beside that horrific figure, her eyes showing a mix of innocence and something sinister. Mommy? Ava's voice floated through the shadows, sweet yet laced with an unsettling echo. Help me find our friends. Emily's heart plummeted. No, Ava. You don't understand. She rose, her legs shaky, but determination surged within. She would not let this darkness devour her child. As she ventured further into the gloom, sounds danced around her, soft whispers, a chorus of voices blending into a cacophony. "Stay with us, join the game," they taunted her, inviting her into their torment. Each word drummed into her skull, pulling at strands of her sanity. "Get away from her!" Emily shouted, clenching her fists. "You don't control us." Her voice was more defiance than truth, but she had to believe. The light inside her still flickered, but the shadows thickened, seeping closer. Slowly, she realized the walls weren't just darkness, they shimmered with images, fragments of herself, moments of joy distorted into grotesque mockeries, her daughter's first steps twisted into anguished cries, laughing faces melting into grimaces of fear. Emily gasped at each horrifying recollection, shoving it aside. "Ava!" She pleaded again, moving deeper, the darkness stinging her skin, tearing at her resolve. She stumbled but didn't fall. The house trembled around her, as if reacting to her fear, to her growing unrest. "You have to fight this." A thick, heavy laughter rumbled from the shadows. "You think you can save her? She belongs to us now." The words slithered around Emily, squeezing her chest tighter. "She's seen beyond the veil, and you are lost." "No!" Emily screamed, feeling the icy tendrils inch closer, wrapping around her ankles like snakes preparing to constrict. Somewhere inside her, a flicker of light fought back. She remembered the warmth of Ava's small hand, the sweet giggles echoing in their home. Suddenly, a brilliant flash erupted from somewhere beyond the crushing darkness, followed by a deafening crack like thunder. She shielded her eyes, and in that moment, the shadows recoiled, twisting away as if burned. Caught in the sudden light, Emily could finally see Ava stood at the center, her small hands raised, eyes locked with Emily's, wide and pleading. "Mom! I can't hold them back much longer." The panic in Ava's voice jolted Emily. "Ava! Don't let them take you." It was a race against time. The shadows shrieked, angry and relentless, grasping at the light radiating from Ava. "You can't save her!" They roared. The battle was becoming fierce. Would they extinguish the light forever, or could Emily reach her daughter in time? But even as the darkness writhed and screamed, Emily felt a flicker, a connection, a thread of hope that dared to burn against the encroaching void. "I'm coming, Ava. Just hold on." With a desperate lunge, Emily surged forward, but jagged shadows lunged out, ready to rain in their prey. They echoed her movements, twisting and clawing as she pressed on. Would she reach her daughter before the shadows swallowed them whole? Or would darkness consume everything she loved? The tendrils tightened, and as Emily leaned closer to Ava, a whisper floated through the dark. "You must decide to embrace the light or join us." Emily lunged forward, her resolve igniting against the cold grip of the shadows. She reached for Ava, but each inch felt like wading through thick molasses, the shadows pulling relentlessly at her. "Stay close, Ava. I'm almost there." Ava's eyes were pools of fear, the flickering light from her small hands dimming against the overwhelming darkness. "Mommy! I can't," she gasped, her voice strained, the shadows gnawing at her edges. The whispers intensified, growing into a snarling storm. "Join us, join the lost." They filled Emily's head like an invading tide, drowning out rational thought. She staggered, disoriented, but steadied herself by focusing on that bright, unwavering light emanating from her daughter. "I want to let them take you." Desperation fueled her every movement. Emily felt the icy fingers of the tendrils wrap tighter around her midsection, the air growing frigid as panic rose in her throat. Ava's face twisted in anguish. "You have to let go. I'm changing." The shadows bounded, feral, desperate to pull her back into their depths. "It's too late for me, Mom." "No. No." Emily screamed, bile rising in her throat. "You're my light. We can fight this together." But as she pushed forward, doubt seeped into her veins. Could Ava still be saved? Or had the darkness already tainted her? The figures wavered, their grotesque forms filling her with an unbearable dread. They twisted in sinister glee, urging her to give in. Embrace the void. Emily pressed onward, every movement a struggle. Each step was met with clinging shadows, grasping hands that threatened to pull her back into the abyss. She gasped as nails-like grips clawed at her skin, leaving cold trails on her arms. Her heart thundered as she reached for Ava, every ounce of her being focused on that connection, their bond forged in love. Just a little closer, baby. Just a little longer. Suddenly, the room erupted with laughter, a cacophony that clawed at her mind. She belongs to us. You can't save her. It was as if the walls were alive, vibrating with their dark mantra, pushing Emily back, forcing her to hate that laughter, to question her sanity. She felt the flicker of hope dim. Hope was pointless against dread. You're monsters, she choked, her voice trembling. Monsters? The voice sneered, slithering through the shadows. We are freedom. Let go, Emily. Join us, become one with the darkness. This world is a lie. Unravel it. Emily's pulse quickened, the specter of despair sliding into her thoughts. Was this some malevolent trick? She gritted her teeth against that new form of terror, forcing herself to remember the real world, her daughter's laughter echoing in her mind. I don't want to join you. With renewed fervor, she surged forward, ripping through the void. If she could reach Ava, they could escape this nightmare together. She had to believe. In a blinding rush, she snatched Ava's hand. The surge of love flooded through her, mingling with all the horrific memories they had faced to break free from the chains of despair. The shadows hissed, recoiling. No. You cannot hold her. She is ours. But Emily tightened her grip, pulling Ava closer. You are stronger than them. Fight it. She roared defiantly, desperation mingling with determination. Suddenly, the darkness shimmered, pulsating as if alive. Shapes morphed and twisted, voices clawing out in panic. No. No. You won. Take her. They wailed. As their surroundings trembled violently, a rift appeared, an opening saturated with blinding light. A portal of hope, but also of uncertainty. Emily glanced at Ava, then back at the swirling void, knowing either path could lead to salvation or despair. Do you trust me? Emily asked, fear lacing her voice. Mom, Ava whispered, uncertainty flickering across her face. Then, the air thickened, teetering between light and shadow. Choose now. That's all the time you have. And before either of them could answer, the shadows lunged, enveloping them once more, a deep roar echoing in the hollow space. Would they plunge back into the dark, losing everything they cherished, or grasp the light before it was too late? Emily's breath caught in her throat. One moment. One decision hung between them. What would they choose? The shadows exploded around them, engulfing Emily and Ava in a world where light fought to hold its ground. Mom, Ava's voice trembled, breaking like glass. The pull of the shadows was relentless, their dark tendrils clasping around her, whispering those maddening words again. Join us, be one of the lost. Emily could feel the ground shaking, her heart pounding like a war drum against her ribs. Hold tight, Ava. We need to fight together. As the darkness surged, it felt like two worlds were wrestling within her. The bracing cold of despair wrapped around her, it tasted bitter, like iron. But then there was her daughter, pure and bright, clinging to her with a grip that dared the abyss to try harder. A low growl echoed all around them. The shadows were growing bolder, probing for weaknesses, sensing that flicker of hope that clung to them like a lifebuoy. You cannot escape your fate. She will be ours. Join us, Emily. The walls twisted and morphed into grotesque faces, their mouths stretching wide in joyous contempt. Emily stifled a scream. Bile rose to her throat, threatening to choke her. Fight it, Ava. You're stronger than this. Each word fired her determination, but uncertainty splintered her heart. What if it was too late? What if the shadows had already taken root in her daughter? Sweat trickled down her forehead, and her grip on Ava almost faltered. Then, from the edge of her mind, a memory bubbled up: Ava laughing, sunlight bursting through the trees, skating on the ice, warm apple pie cooling on the counter. I won't let them take you. Never. Her scream sliced through the chaotic noise, an island of certainty. The darkness hesitated, just for a moment, momentarily stunned by the strength of a mother's love. Emily felt that sliver of doubt fade as she squeezed Ava's hand even more tightly. Their shared warmth constricted against the surreal cold pulling at them. We can do this. 1, 2, 3. With a fierce pull, they leapt into the rift of light, a brilliant slice through the suffocating grip of shadow. Emily's heart raced with adrenaline, but the moment they broke through, the shadows shrieked. The cacophony split the air, a howl of rage and hopelessness that sent chills racing down her spine. They landed, not on solid ground, but staggered into an unfamiliar place, a hallway draped in heavy darkness. The air felt thick and damp, clinging to them, making it hard to breathe. The faint flicker of the light from Ava's hands illuminated the peeling wallpaper, devoid of color, seeping with shadows that curled like tendrils of smoke. What is this place? Ava's voice echoed in the eerie silence, unease coiling in her words. I don't know, Emily replied, bewildered. The oppressive stillness was unsettling, a stark contrast to the feverish chaos they had just escaped. In the distance, Emily heard a soft whimpering. It sounded human, yet saturated with a sorrow so deep it made her skin crawl. Ava, stay close please. She inched forward, every instinct screaming at her to turn back. The whimpering became a call, drawing them forward, and despite every warning bell in her mind, the maternal instinct to go to the sound urged her on. What if it's a trap? Ava whispered, scanning the dark corners. It's not, Emily insisted, her voice shaking. But doubt crept in. What if she was leading them to danger? They hesitated at a heavy door, cracked open just enough to peer inside. The whimper grew louder, a heart-wrenching cry that could shatter glass. Mommy! Help me! Emily's heart stopped. It sounded just like Ava. Ava, she breathed. But as they stepped forward, the door swung wide, revealing nothing but an empty room swathed in darkness, save for scattered broken toys littering the floor. Nothing else. Ava, the whimpering faded, replaced by the sound of their own breaths, ragged and heavy. Emily began to tremble, her grip on her daughter tightening. The feeling was unshakable. They were not alone. A figure loomed in the dusk beyond, a silhouette just out of reach, mouth moving, whispering a hidden name in a voice that dripped like honey, sticky and sweet. Join us! A shiver crawled down Emily's spine. It was coming again, this time not just the whispers but an invitation pulling them toward unthinkable choices. What awaited them in the dark? In that dreadful moment, Emily grasped Ava's hand tighter than ever as the figure took a step forward, the shadows opening wide like a maw, waiting. Was there any escape left? Or would they once again plunge into despair, trapped in a sinister dance with the darkness? What would they choose now? The figure inched closer, revealing itself in the dim light, a gaunt, pale face framed by tangled hair, eyes sunken yet glinting with a twisted hunger. Emily's breath quickened, the air around her growing more oppressive, as if it were laced with dread. The invitation in its voice hung heavy, drawing her in like a moth to a flame. Mom, please. Ava shivered, her small body shuddering against Emily's. Who is that? No one, honey. Just stay behind me. Emily's heart raced as she pushed herself between Ava and the figure, instinct kicking in. But curiosity laced with horror urged her to take a step forward. What do you want? She demanded, voice shaking. We've been waiting for you, the figure crooned, its voice a sickly sweet melody that chilled her to the bone. Join us, your light can't fight forever. Emily felt the walls closing in, shadows deepening around them. The toys scattered across the floor, broken dolls, rusted cars became a twisted gallery of their former lives, mocking her with the echoes of laughter and innocence lost. Suddenly, the whispers intensified, spiraling into a maddening cacophony. Join us, join us, join us. The shadows surged, as if trying to breach the fragile barrier between them, and Emily could feel their cold breath against her back. Ava, shield your eyes. Emily yelled, a primal instinct peeling off her lips as she turned to face her daughter. In that moment, the flicker of Ava's light dimmed, sputtering against the onslaught of darkness. No! Emily's desperation clawed at her throat. She lunged to grasp Ava's hand, but a wave of shadows surged forward, snatching at her feet, wrapping spirals around her legs like angry serpents. Mom! Ava cried out, her voice piercing through the chaos. With a violent pull, Emily yanked her daughter closer, prioritizing the warmth of Ava's small hand. They fought against the pull of the shadows, clinging to each other as if they were the last sparks in this expanding void. Every shred of courage Emily had left was directed at protecting Ava. The room flickered, the reality trembling with each whisper that echoed "Join us." The walls shimmered, pulsing like a dark heartbeat, and in that moment, a cascade of memories smothered her, baking cookies, bedtime stories, laughter echoing in the daylight. Stay with me. In a desperate bid, Emily summoned every ounce of strength, forcing herself to take a step away from the figure. A light erupted from within her, fueled by the love for her daughter, pushing against the encroaching darkness. To her shock, the shadows recoiled. The figure twisted in agony, its face contorting in rage. You can't escape. It screamed, the deceit in its voice shattered into shards of fury. It's not your time. Emily shouted, the promise of defiance echoing in her heart. Together they stepped backward, inching towards the door they had come through, light pooled around them like a protective blanket, but the moment felt fragile, like ice on a warm day. Mom, look! Ava's breath hitched, pointing as fragments of shadow drifted around the figure. They twisted, fluid yet ragged, revealing faces of those who had lost their way. That's them, Emily hissed, apprehension rippling through her. They're collecting the lost. We have to hurry. But before they reached the door, the figure lunged, a blur of malice, reaching out with claw-like fingers. Emily felt a chill slice through her as it brushed the edge of her arm. A jolt of terror coursed through her veins, and in that instantaneous moment, she understood, their light was not just a beacon but a target. Ava! The echo of her scream mingled with the walls, enveloping them in a deepening chaos. The room transformed, its oppressive grip tightening around them. Desperation surged through Emily. Would they break free, or was the darkness destined to claim them at last? What price would they need to pay to escape? As the figure lunged again, shadows spiraling, Emily felt the air grow heavier, and the truth settled upon her. Darkness was determined to keep its secrets, and now, it wanted them too. Could love truly outshine the encroaching dark, or was their fate essentially sealed? Emily and Ava stumbled back, the shadows clawing at their skin, an icy grip that nearly rooted them in place. The figure's hollow laugh reverberated through the room, a sound so vile it curdled the air. Panic surged, sharp and painful, as Emily's instincts screamed at her to flee. We have to go. Now! She shouted, pulling at Ava, whose wide eyes reflected a mix of fear and confusion. The door right there, just out of reach, seemed to mock their desperate efforts. Every breath felt weighted, as if the darkness itself pressed against their lungs. Just as they took a step back, the shadows pulsed, coiling around their feet tighter than chains. Screams echoed in the air, voices from the shadows. They were too close, and each breath became a struggle as Emily fought against the consuming tendrils. They felt like ice, relentless against her warmth. Don't look back, she urged, her heart hammering against her ribs. She could hear them whispering her name, low and slithering like venom. Join us, Emily. No. She spat the word as if it could sever the bond. I am not with you. As the shadows tightened, the figure glared at them, its own rage boiling to the surface. "You think your love will save you?" it hissed. "Your light burns brightly, but it won't last. There are pieces of you that will always belong to the dark." Emily felt a tremor, a flicker of guilt sparking within her. The figure was right, wasn't he it? The darkness had always been a part of them, those moments of anger, regret, weakness. She hesitated, even as it pivoted, searching for a crack in her resolve. "Mom, please." Ava whimpered, the fear in her voice drawing Emily back, forcing her focus. "Don't let it in." With a feral roar, she yanked at Ava, pulling her toward the door with all her might. The shadows let out a tortured wail, but their grip loosened for just a moment enough. They bolted toward the door, crashing against its frame, shoulders pounding against its surface. Darkness writhed at their backs, slinking and whispering, but something primal surged within Emily, a last ember of hope. She kicked the door open, sunlight spilling into the room. "Ava, run!" Her voice rang out, fierce and unyielding. Together, they sprinted into the blinding light, the warmth bathing them, driving back the cold that had seeped into their bones. But even as they fled, she could feel the shadows swirling, coiling like serpents. They were not relinquishing their pursuit. The figure stood still, its expression a mask of horror and rage. "You can't escape the past," it bellowed, the shadows around it swirling wildly, growing thicker. With frantic breaths, they dashed down the hall, but the ground grew uneven beneath them. Tiles cracked, walls shifted. The hallway morphed, stretching like unforgiving shadows. The exit felt like a mirage, receding even further. Emily's pulse raced, the light behind them dimmed, swallowed by the engulfing darkness. Would they find a way out? Or were they simply running deeper into the trap? A choke of laughter slipped from Emily's throat, catching herself at the absurdity of it all. "Whatever it wants, we won't give in." But deep inside, a nagging fear began to bloom. What if the darkness found a way into their hearts? As they neared a door that seemed to throb with unnatural energy, Emily took a pause, her hand resting on the cool doorknob. What if opening it meant not just freedom but something far worse? A rumble echoed, a warning that reverberated through the air, and the shadows surged once more. This time, the weight of them pressed down harder, as if straining to pull at her very essence. Each step forward felt like a dangerous gamble. Was she ready to face what lay behind the door? In that fleeting moment, Emily turned to Ava, eyes wide with uncertainty. "Ready?" she whispered, dread wrapping around her throat. Ava's pale face shuddered. What if it's worse? With the weight of the world upon her shoulders, Emily made her choice. What lie in wait on the other side? Would it offer solace, or seal their fate in shadows forever? With a deep breath, Emily turned the doorknob. The heavy door swung wide, revealing a narrow stairwell, shrouded in an unsettling gloom. The air was thick, cloying, as if the shadows that haunted them were spilling through the threshold, eager to claim their next victims. Ava hesitated, her hand clutching Emily's arm tightly. "What if it's a trap?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "We have to know," Emily replied, her own heart racing. The shadows still coiled around their ankles, gnawing at their resolve, but she pushed forward. "We can't let it win." They descended the stairs, the wood creaking ominously beneath their weight. Each step felt like walking deeper into an abyss, the chill crawling up their spines, whispering fears they didn't even know they had. Every flicker of a shadow felt like a ghostly hand trailing down their necks, warning them to turn back. Ava clung even tighter, her breath coming in quick, frantic bursts. "What if we find nothing? What if—" "Shoo," Emily hissed, feeling the weight of the silence crush down upon them. They reached the bottom and stepped into a dimly lit room, the walls lined with old, decrepit mirrors, each reflecting fragments of their terrified faces. The room felt alive, pulsing with energy that made Emily's skin crawl. The shadows danced in the corners, twisting and curling, seeking entry into the light. In the center stood a battered trunk, its wood dark and cracked. It seemed to hum with a dreadful expectancy. The trunk was familiar, radiating memories that stirred something deep within Emily, memories she wished to forget. "Do you hear that?" Ava asked, her eyes wide, scanning the mirrors. The whispers grew louder, a cacophony of voices mixed with laughter, a taunting chorus. Emily placed a hand on the trunk. The wood was cool and slick, damp with dread. She scanned the room again, searching for a way out, but the mirrors reflected only the same terrified expressions. She felt trapped, caught in a web of fear, and she loathed the way her heart seemed to reverberate with each echo. "What if we open it?" Ava murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. "What if it's not worth it?" Emily questioned, uncertainty gnawing at her. She could feel the pull of the shadows crawling up her legs like spiders in the half-light. "Emily." Ava's voice broke through. "We have to decide. Are we going to let them win?" And it hit Emily, the figure's words came crashing back. "You think your love will save you?" It warned them about shadows crawling within them. What if there was a truth hidden in this trunk? Something real and horrific, burying their fears even deeper. A chilling wind swept through the room, tossing her hair back, swirling a cloud of shadows around them as if the darkness itself churned with anger. Emily inhaled sharply. "We have to look for hope. For whatever the light is." With shaking hands, she lifted the lid of the trunk. A gust of stale air blasted out, carrying with it a smell of decay and loss. Inside lay a tangle of old photographs, letters, artifacts of a life she had tried to forget. She felt her stomach drop. "Don't!" Ava screamed, but it was too late. With trembling fingers, Emily grasped a photo, the image flickering in and out of focus. Her younger self stood beside someone she had loved, had lost. The face blurred, almost spectral, as if trapped in the very glass of the mirror. "Emily," a voice called from behind. She spun around, heart racing. The mirrors held something else, figures emerging, eyes dark, hollow, reaching out. Were they memories? Family? Or just shadows of pain? Ava shrieked. "Run! We have to run!" But the darkness swallowed the room, and the shadows surged, drawn to the light of the open trunk. Emily felt it, the weight of their sorrow, their own regrets pressing against her chest, demanding to be freed. There was no escape. And then she understood, the past would not just follow them, it was right there, waiting to be released. As darkness closed in around them, a malicious whisper echoed in her mind. "You cannot hide. You belong to us, forever." Would they succumb to their darkest fears? Or could Emily find a way to battle the shadows within? The choice was clearer now than ever, but was she ready to confront what lay buried? Emily's heart thundered as she locked eyes with a figure in the mirror. It was her younger self, eyes wide with innocence, surrounded by swirling darkness that crept closer with every breath. "You have to choose, Emily," the voice echoed, distant yet hauntingly familiar. "Will you let me go?" "No. I want tea," she shouted, defiance igniting a spark within her. "I want to be a prisoner of this fear." The shadows writhing around her pulsed, seemingly enraged, as if her love for Ava was an affront. The laughter poured out of the mirrors, menacing and cruel, but something within Emily pushed back. She grasped the edge of the trunk, grounding herself against the onslaught. "Ava!" she called, desperation slicing through her. "We can do this. I need you to fight." Ava peered at the chaotic reflections, wild-eyed. "Mom, the shadows, they want to take us. Please, what do we do?" Tremors coursed through Emily, but she took a breath, focusing on Ava's face, the light she held within her. "The shadows feed on our fears, our regrets. We need to confront them together." The laughter erupted, mocking their resolve. "You can't change the past," it jeered, but Emily's heart raged within her chest. "No. We can rewrite it." Moments swirled around Emily like a tempest, the memories of laughter, the warmth of hugs, the bitter taste of loss, but now she saw them through a different lens, colored by love. "We choose love," she cried out, cascading warmth spilling from her words. As she lifted the photographs again, vivid moments of life coursed through her veins. Her first day at the park with Ava, their trip to the beach, Ava perched atop her father's shoulders. They screamed hope against the dark. "You can't have us." The shadows shrieked, recoiling with every flicker of light that burst from the trunk. Emily and Ava stood side by side, their hands intertwined, drawing the ancient magic of their bond into something fierce. "Me too, Mom. I want to let them take you." Ava joined, radiating with strength, her little hand pulsating with warmth and power. They moved as one, stepping forward together. The darkness surged, but now that bond tethered them tight, holding strong against the looming threat. "Let us end this." Emily's voice rang with conviction. "You think you own us? You don't. We are love, and we are stronger." The air crackled, light bursting forth from the trunk, shooting toward the shadows. The laughter twisted into screams of anger, crashing around them as the memories surged with electricity, unfleeting moments of joy and laughter, forging an impenetrable wall against the dark. "Leave us!" they shouted in unison, the words music flowing from their hearts. "You don't belong here." And with that, a wave of brilliant light erupted between them and the shadows, shattering the chains of despair. The dark beings writhed, voices crashing in anguish, unable to withstand the force of their unified love. Finally, the swirling shadows receded, pulled backward into the trunk, desperately grasping the edges. Their sobs echoed, the weight of centuries crashing against nothingness. A bright light filled the room, its warmth flooding in and enveloping them both. The darkness waned, and with one final scream of rage, the shadows were sucked completely into the trunk, which slammed shut with a finality that resonated deep within Emily's heart. Emily stood there, breathless, the familiar warmth of her home surrounding her as golden light poured from the trunk. We did it together," she whispered, tears of relief tumbling down her cheeks as she pulled Ava into an embrace. "Mom!" Ava giggled, relief flooding her voice. "It's gone." "Yes, baby. We faced it. We have to remember that our love is stronger than any shadow. Every fear, every regret, they are part of us, but they don't define us." They stepped back into their safe haven, together, hand in hand, feeling the embrace of security. The sunlight streamed through the windows, brightening every corner. Emily smiled down at her daughter as she let out a deep sigh of relief. "Let us make new memories, Ava. We can create the future we want." Ava burst into a wide smile, her eyes sparkling. "Can we make cookies?" "Absolutely. And we can even go see the park." They laughed together, the echoes of victory filling the air. No more shadows, no more darkness. Just the promise of new beginnings. And they walked forward, stronger together, leaving behind what had once threatened to bind them. The trunk remained sealed, a reminder of their strength and the triumph of love over darkness. As their laughter echoed down the hall, the house felt alive once more, wrapped in healing light that would forever shield it from the shadows' return. Now, this is your call to action. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss any future stories packed with thrilling twists. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm and keep this community alive. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this epic conclusion. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how love conquers all. Your support means everything.